JB here. JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Monday, September 22nd, 9:15. Let's find morning talk. Really quick about markets. Some names I'm looking at go from there. Futures slightly in the red here, about 0.2% for the S&P, or actually a 0.25%. Um, yeah, it's going to be an interesting week. We got the Fed out of the way. We have a lot of the economic data out of the way, and it's kind of like we're in a lull, right? We have the end of third quarter coming up at the end of the month. You also have earnings season winding down. I think this week is just Micron. I think Micron's tomorrow. Costco's Thursday. We get the final read on the second quarter GDP, and GDP's the previous 3 months of 3 months ago. So it's such a backward-looking number. I don't think that matters too much. And today we get Fed speaks. So there's a lot of Fed speaks today, including the dissenter Stephen Miran, whoever pronounced his name. So that'll probably be, I guess, what'll steal the headlines. And then outside of any other kind of headline thing, supposedly there's some big news on autism today. I don't know, maybe more in conjunction with what was announced with aspirin last week or rumors or whatever. I don't know if that's going to move markets too much. But last Monday, we had the tightest trading range of the entire year for the S&P. So I don't know if we'll have a deja vu duplication here today, but certainly something to pay attention to. Me, I keep talking about it, and hopefully I don't have to talk about too much further is the yields, right? And just want to see yields start to either flatline or start to head back down, at least the 10-year, up 2 days in a row, and up a little bit here this morning. So hopefully that reverses. Yeah, so to me, I put on the watch list this morning, watched on the SPY 664.11 or 664.05. Upper Bollinger Band on the SPY. So watching that as kind of possible resistance. We hit up there on Friday, 664.55. And then on the flip side, that low from last week, 660.05 or so, somewhere in there. So I guess we just call it, round it down 660. And that'd be kind of maybe the range here today, pending any crazy shenanigans. I don't know what comments the new appointee will say at the noon hour. Obviously, he's more in the camp of, hey, the Fed should be cutting rates already. Should have been a jumbo cut. So I mean, I'm sure he's going to say a lot of those things that dovish per se, but I don't know if that'll move markets too much. But that's that. I'm trying to think of all the other some possible other. I think ISM data tomorrow. Yeah, I mean that's kind of about it. So let's see here. Why don't I have? Okay, so now just quick on some individual names, and let's see. Do I have the yields? Yeah. So this is the yields, and didn't get all the way down to September lows. I pasted in here. Sorry, folks. All right, so just quick on individual names. First I'll talk about SERV, and SERV Robotics gapping on Friday was up 15% last week, up 8% on Friday, all the way over $15. So gapped, ran all the way up to 15 by like 11. Was it 11 o'clock, 10:30? And then huge option 10:30. It hit 15:31, and huge option volume. I think there was, I don't know, it was 50,000 contracts, 80. I have to go back and look. And I don't know if that's some of it's because of the huge short interest, right? 26% short interest, and people are looking for ways to protect themselves. The best way to do that is take high implied volatility options, high premium options, and use those as a hedge, right? So I don't know if that's some of it, but use the move to lock some more of my October strikes in for close to 300%, lock some of the Januaries in for close to 200%. And, I was looking for other decent risk reward strikes this morning, just in case there's follow through here today. And I might look to get closer strikes, right? I mean, to me, I mean, I can go out to January, but the Januaries are expensive. I already have the January 20s. So we'll see what happens here today. 1375, that's the key spot. And I was talking about on rant Friday afternoon, people, oh, where's the target today? And it was over 15, it hit 1530 all the way back down under 14. I'm like, I'll just be happy it holds 1375. So similar kind of setup here today. It holds 1375. I think that's in itself is a good sign. And then it could start working its way to $18. I keep saying too, FOMO is going to come on this name at some point. When I say FOMO, it'll be $18 and then 20, maybe even 25, similar to what happened with Joby, right? I mean, it was an $8 stock, $10 stock. And the story didn't change too much. It just caught FOMO. So still think similar things going to happen here with SERV Robotics. I'll continue to look for opportunities to trade that one. Then Cardlytics, right? Looking great Friday morning continuation after the Citron tweets on Thursday. Gapped, ran over $3, was 328, and 320 was the big handle from late summer July that it hit and then faded, and sure enough did the same thing, all the way from 328 down to the 240 range, chopped around there the entire afternoon. The concern here, right? So concern would be that it does the same thing it did in July. Got caught fire, rallied up to 320, and then just became dead weight for another month and a half. I'm hoping that is not the same scenario here. I think there's more eyes on it. Today will be a telling day, right? It was only down 11% on Friday. I mean, in the context of its huge move on Thursday. So I think that's a good sign. The lucky thing is I was looking at January strikes in the morning on Friday after I locked some of my October strikes in, and thankfully it sat on my hand. So if it does catch some fire here this morning, maybe it gets up to 260 or so. I mean, it was over 290 in the overnight session. I might look to get some those January strikes, but still love the story. I mean, I can go on a rant for a while on Cardlytics, why I think it trades substantially higher. So that's Cardlytics, and then Lemonade, right? Disappointing. I would say disappointing, right? Never wrong, just early. Had those spec lottos, and I've been trading Lemonade off and on for over or close to a year now. And then finally caught some fire in the afternoon, all the way from 57 up to 61. And then I'm like, do I get some strikes into this week? So I kind of, I was looking, the 65s look kind of expensive on a risk reward basis, but similar to SERV, at some point this catches FOMO, huge short interest. Let's see here. Got a possible tight Bollinger Band breakout, and it's at multi-year highs here. So I'll be watching here today. It's just tough, right? I don't want to chase it at the open. We've seen some fades where a Lemonade opens, squeeze at the open, and then fades for the rest of the day. So I'll be watching this one. But it's another name like similar SERV, $18, then 20, then 25. I can see Lemonade 70, 75, 85, if not higher. So that's Lemonade. GameStop is kind of what was on the back burner last week, still at its 200-day moving average. I put it on the watch list. At some point, it's gonna tell the market, hey, hold my beer, and then just go on a rally. And the rally, there's gaps, right? And not saying all gaps get filled, but a lot of times, for some, it just happens, right? So you start looking. I think it's 2805 somewhere in there is its earnings gap. So that'd be a key spot. I'm just still going to be patient. My October strikes are still in the green. The thing is, though, the longer it stays here, the more the premium comes out. So I don't want, one hand, don't want to chase a move. So I'll be quick to enter if there is some kind of breakout. On the other hand, I don't want to see it sit here. So I'll just continue to be patient there. Lemonade's at $62 here in the pre-market. IIPR finally closed those strikes, the October strikes, out for over 100% on Friday. The thing is, and I was trying to rationalize, I think of, scenarios. And one scenario is one day you wake up, either some negative news in regards to the reclassifying of marijuana, or it just sells off, right? And if it sells off 3 to 5%, the premium is going to get destroyed. And to sit there and waste so much mental energy, I'm watching this for the last couple of weeks. I'm like, let me just take this position off. At some point, maybe I'll revisit. Ex-divi date September 30th, so next week. So maybe I'll wait for that. Now I think it's 190 is the ex-divi date, the dividend price. So we'll drop $1.90 one day. Not that that's going to impact the option pricing too much, but that could be a day. Okay, after that, get back in. Other names watching for lottos, and I was talking about MDB earlier, Wednesday and Thursday. There was an insane amount of analyst changes. I think it was Wednesday and Thursday, and then the stock sold off, reversed on Friday, closed up 2%. Another price target. Let's see, do I have it on here? A big price target change this morning. Is it Canaccord? Took it up to 375. Just tough. I'd rather trade it on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but if it starts to break out, maybe it gets over 328 or so, I may look for some lottos to play for this week for a move eventually back over 345 and beyond. Duolingo, it's one of those names that I'm hoping when it does do this reversal, I'm in the calls, right? So that's kind of the plan. I don't want to just keep trying to time a bounce and then eventually I give up and then that's when it bounces. But, I use that analogy. I'm thinking over the weekend, I'm like, is that the proper analogy to think of like Duolingo when Meta announces that their glasses can do translation and then the stock sells off? It's like if you were a math teaching company, right? If that's your job, just taught students math on some kind of app, and then the calculator came out, with your stock tank? That's kind of my analogy, right? Do people still not need to learn math now that you have a calculator? It's kind of the same thing with language. I think it's like an asset to be multilingual, and it also, they show their studies that people who are multilingual are just more efficient in other learning areas. They read better. There's all these different things. So to me, and also, Duolingo is not just the language side of it. It's other aspects, the games, the chess, the things like that. So, sorry, we got 5 minutes to the open. So trying to go through here. And then on the flip side here, right? So the market spies at 662. Can't rule out some kind of pull at some point. You have Goldman Spectacular this morning. You know, it was only 5.5 months ago they were calling for a recession, 65% chance of recession or whatever it was as the tariffs were hitting, and now all of a sudden they're bullish. Oh, we raise our S&P target to, I think it's 7,000. Uh, so at some point there's going to be some kind of pull. I don't know if it's, you know, this week, and you know, there's been weeks I've been a little more cautious. I don't know if that's this week just yet, but 600, right? 660. If 660 breaks on the spy here today and there's weakness, we don't bounce at 11 o'clock. If there is some weakness, Visa uh, still sitting here at the 200-day moving average. It's almost like walking a tightrope here. And every time it looks like it's going to break through, it finds a bid and bounces. One of these times it won't. Broadcom last week was a rough one, despite the market closing at all-time highs on Friday. So Broadcom's always one I trade for spec hedge lotto positions. So that'd be another name. And then the SQQQ calls. Not to throw caution to the wind or what have you, but like you look at gold, and I had those gold puts. Thankfully, I closed those out last week flat. Still watching that one for a possible revisit, but it remains strong. And typically, why is gold stronger? It's a safe haven asset, right? So I'm not saying that's the reason why it continues to get bid up, but and then you see Bitcoin's down 2% today. Actually, it bounced a little. It's only down 1.9%, but you would think gold would be down too, and it's not. So just little things in the back of the head that just has me a little not cautious this week, but things I'll be watching. Yields, and then 660 on the SPY. All right, let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.